Welcome everyone to my Navia build guide. In this guide, I will briefly explain what she does and then go over her artifacts and weapons. This is a build guide, only covering what artifacts you may want to use, stats you will need, and compare different weapon options. And just as a quick disclaimer, Navia is not released yet, and her kit may change. So, numbers and recommendations I present are likely to change. Starting off with a basic kit explanation and some info to get you started. Navia is a 5-star Geo character. She uses a claymore and has a crit damage ascension bonus. Navia can increase her elemental skill damage by consuming crystallized shards. Her burst applies continuous Geo after casting and enables you to generate crystallized shards with the help of other characters. Her elemental skill has 2 casts, and you will gain Geo infusion after using her skill. With that said, her skill, burst and normal attacks contribute to damage, so ideally, you should level them all. However, each talent contributes a different amount of damage, her skill being the highest, then her burst, and lastly her normal attacks. With that said, Navia's talent priority should be to first level her skill, the burst, and lastly normal attacks. You should, however, level all her talents as they all contribute to her damage. Moving on to artifacts. Firstly, I would like to mention that there is an artifact set coming out with Navia next patch. It is called Nighttime Whispers in the Echoing Woods. The new set increases attack through its 2-piece bonus, and Geo damage through the 4-piece bonus. If you're under a shield made by Crystallize, your Geo damage bonus will be increased further. With Navia, you should be able to get multiple crystallized shields. I have some uncertainties regarding this set, whether it would work if you have another shield from another character. I do know that you could stack shields like that, but I'm not 100% sure how it would work with the artifact set. With that said, if you are running Farina in your team and actively consuming your HP Marechaussee, Hunter is actually Navia's best artifact set. Even Vermilion hereafter works, but if you're using Vermilion, you must keep in mind that the buff only activates after using your elemental burst. Between the new artifact set, Marechaussee Hunter, and Vermilion, hereafter the damage difference is not significant, and within a few percentages of each other. Out of these artifacts, the one I would recommend farming the most is Marechaussee Hunter, since it is a versatile set and paired with another good set in the domain. But that only works if you're using Furina. Without Furina, the 4.3 artifact set, Nighttime Whispers in the Echoing Woods, is going to be your best option. Otherwise, you can mix 2-piece attack sets or a 2-piece attack and Geo set, and the difference between both is practically nothing. So use whichever sets have better substats. Husk of Opulent Dreams is not a set that I would recommend since you only gain little Geo damage from it. Archaic Petra does not work to increase Geo damage, unfortunately, since you cannot gain Geo damage from a crystallized shard. Moving over to stats, energy recharge is important for Navia since her elemental burst is a source of off-field Geo damage to generate crystallized shards and deals a decent amount damage. Because Navia has 2 elemental skill casts and a low burst cost, you should aim for 130 to 140% energy recharge. This requirement is just an estimate and will change depending on your teammates. 130% energy recharge should be the minimum you should aim for. For your Sands, you will want 80% since Navia scales on attack. For your Goblet, Geo damage should be better than an attack Goblet. The difference between both Geo and attack is around 5%, so if your attack Goblet has much better substats, it will perform better on Navia. But if you're running Bennett in your team, Geo damage bonus will become more valuable. If you're running Furina in your team, attack becomes more valuable. If you're running both, then you should decide based on substats. Which Goblet you should go for also depends on weapons. If your weapon provides a lot of attack, then go for Geo damage, and vice versa. And for your Circlet, go for either crit rate or damage, whichever you need more of. As for your substats, you should aim for energy, attack, and crit rate and damage. Navia is a character with high scaling, so she enjoys a lot of attack. It's important to not just pick artifacts based on crit value, you must consider other stats like attack. And lastly, weapons. There are a few things I want to get out of the way before starting. Firstly, these calculations are made without Bennett. If you're using Bennett in your team, weapons with low base attack will jump up. Weapons like Redhorn Stonethresher that have a low base attack and high crit value will get better, and weapons like Wolf's Gravestone with a lot of attack will fall down a bit with Bennett. This also applies to Farina, since Farina gives you a lot of damage bonus, so weapons that increase damage bonus fall behind slightly. This sheet assumes a 30% energy recharge requirement and factors in elemental skill, geo-infused normal attacks, and elemental burst damage. Navia's best weapon is her signature weapon Considered Judgment. Considered Judgment increases crit rate and attack. Additionally, it increases elemental skill damage when you get crystallized shards. Serpent Spine is a great weapon for many characters, and that does not change for Navia. With Serpent Spine, you gain a damage bonus over time. When at full stacks, it is both the best 4-star weapon and the second best for Navia overall. Even if you do not get full stacks, it is still ahead of most other 5-star weapons. If you're getting the Battle Pass, you should get Serpent Spine over Talking Stick. The Unforged is a good weapon for Navia. It increases attack and will increase attack even further if protected by a shield. And you will most likely be shielded most of the time by using a crystallized shield, which don't last that long, or by having Zhongli in your team. And for your best free-to-play option, the new 4.3 event weapon called Ultimate Overlord's Mega Magic Sword is your best pick. For the sake of simplicity, I'm calling it the 4.3 event weapon. This weapon increases your energy recharge and has a rather interesting passive. The 4.3 event weapon increases attack through its passive, and further increases attack for each Melusine you've helped. By helping Melusines, I'm assuming the weapon means the Melusines in their village, which give you world quests once you unlock their village. I'm not exactly sure how many of these quests there are, but assuming you've helped 2 Melusines, at R5 this weapon should be a lot better than most 5-star weapons, and if you manage to help more Melusines, it should be even closer to Serpent Spine. Even at R1, this weapon is your best free-to-play option, and it can be refined for free if you play the upcoming 4.3 event. Beacon of the Reed Sea is a strong weapon, but its passive requires you to take damage. With Navia's constant crystallized shields, this passive would be difficult to achieve. Aside from 5-star weapons and the 4.3 event weapon, your best free weapon would be Tidal Shadow if you're running a healer. Since Tidal Shadow's passive requires your character to be healed. Black Cliff Slasher is pretty much at the same level as Tidal Shadow, and its passive activates after defeating an enemy. For this calculation, I assumed 1 enemy defeated. This passive can stack up to 3. If you do get more stacks for Black Cliff Slasher, it should be better than Tidal Shadow. Overall, if you don't plan on getting Navia's signature weapon or buying the Battle Pass, I would recommend going for R5 Ultimate Overlord's Mega Magic Sword, as it's a great weapon and costs nothing to get and refine. But that's all from this build guide. Remember that Navia is still not released, and there may still be changes that affect the weapons and artifacts ranking. When things finalize and Navia gets close to release, I will make a full guide discussing her playstyle, teams, constellations, and revise the weapon and artifact ranking if necessary. With that said, I hope you found this guide helpful. Thank you for making it till the end, and thank you for watching.